Alright.
Like, I don't want to, like, mess up or anything.
I am class of 2019. You! Stop it!
Alright.
Stare at the camera or
Yeah.
stare at you?
Oh, it's up to you. Wherever you
I'm
feel more
gonna stare at
comfortable. Sounds good.
Dude,
Doesn't matter. Wherever you want.
Oh my god.
Okay.
This is gonna be way
I
hard.
got George down, okay.
So, what is your name?
Maya,
How old are you?
18.
And what grade are you in?
I'm a freshman.
I'm Marina, I'm 17 and I am a freshman.
I'm Dylan McCarthy. I'm 18 and I'm SFS class of 2019.
my name is Sequoia Broxton. I'm a freshman and I'm 18 years old.
My name is Kayla Amos. I'm 18 years old and I'm a freshman.
I'm originally from Burlington, Vermont, but then I moved to Virginia, and then now I live in New Jersey.
I'm from Chandler, Arizona.
I'm from Long Beach, California.
I'm originally from Florida.
I was raised in Kentucky.
Are you from somewhere else?
Currently from Florida.
Have you ever heard of political correctness?
I've heard the term, yes.
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 Yeah.
I have.
I've heard of the term political correctness, and I would say it's like for the sake of actually being kind and respectful to everybody, you try to avoid saying things that would be harmful to how they would feel. And sometimes you may not understand why, but and so you say, oh, it's politically correct to say that because it might offend them.
Political correctness.
Political correctness is to use terms that are that no demographic would find offensive, or to aim for that. That's what that means to me.
I guess I would define it as like being aware of different groups, whether it's like race, religion, or sexual orientation, or gender, just being aware of not being offensive, just
How you would publicly phrase something so as not to offend anyone.
being aware of like how they, how they prefer to be referred to, or just anything involving those issues.
I don't know, a lot of people use it like something that's PC, so I guess appropriate, or not gonna like hurt someone's feeling or saying the wrong thing.
So if someone says like, you gotta be PC, is that a positive or a negative thing in your mind?
I guess it's positive in that you're like trying to make sure you don't hurt someone else's feelings, but it could also be a negative, because I know a lot of the times people like try to be like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna be PC about something that's like racially related and it doesn't like bother me any.
The way most people think of it would be, trying to avoid any kind of controversy. But political correctness to me just is more about talking to people the way they should be spoken to, like with respect.
I guess what that definition has in mind was often taken to extremes.
It sounds like the person that has the definition has an opinion already.
I think nowadays, especially like with the internet, people are a lot more easily offended by a lot more things just because you get like exposed to them more often.
I didn't hear the term probably until like probably 2 years ago. I feel like it was before then. It was just something that I kind of like I knew, or it didn't really have a phrase to me.
I don't remember when I first heard it. I heard it pretty young because my dad's white, my mom's black.
Senior year, I heard it a lot
Really?
in high school, and then here it's a lot more in college. Yeah.
I think like either like in middle school or elementary school, people were talking about like the politically correct way to say something, or like what's like the better way to say something, and it was like connotated as like the good way to say something because they don't want to hurt other people's feelings because it's like middle school, elementary school. But now it's like now it has a more of a negative connotation because like, oh, stop being so PC all the time.
I don't really know. I feel like it's something that you're just like part of our socialization, like when you're in your upbringings and everything, to like make sure that you're not saying like the wrong thing or gonna offend someone. But the actual term, like politically correct, probably in history class,
Yeah.
like in the context of like any of the social movements that came out.
I guess it was more so just like a learning experience of like what's okay to say and what's not okay, or what's okay to do and not okay to do. Not that I didn't know already, but just like learning, this new things emerge. And so like there's always like this, I guess, feeling of like being compassionate towards other people, so and being respectful of like how they choose to be like, how they choose to be called, or like anything surrounding like a person's lifestyle, like who may be marginalized, like women who are homosexual or whatever it may be. So I don't think it's really like I had a lesson like somebody taught me. I guess it's just like more so like as I got older and some different experiences, like I just knew what was right and what wasn't right.
The high school I went to was extremely diverse, and so it was kind of, I guess, what you would call political correctness. You learned really quickly. It wasn't as much of an issue, but in college I feel like we're dealing with a lot more kind of controversial topics more regularly, and like throughout our whole lives as opposed to just in the classroom. So I think that's probably why it comes up more.
I think it's useful. Like, I think it's helped take us to a society that we're actually proud of.
Yeah, I think it's very useful.
We're proud of our society. We support everybody, and we don't marginalize people. And political correctness is just a way of kind of like teaching people how what they say can marginalize those people.
It's useful in that it shows us like that words do have power. Like that's the whole debate with illegal immigrants, because you don't want to say that people are illegal. So like words do have meaning and impact on how we view other socioeconomic groups, I guess. But also like I do feel like it is taken to extremes sometimes. So
The purpose, just not to offend anyone and to be respectful. I think that's a really solid purpose, and I think it's a really good kind of objective set. But I think there's a balance. I think for there to be real dialogue, you have to say what's happening, and if you do that respectfully, I suppose not being politically correct could be perceived as just being offensive, but which is not okay. I mean, that's a lack of respect. But I mean, the dictionary definition doesn't say being disrespectful, but I think talking about some of these big issues, you have to go into topics that are uncomfortable to talk about.
Again, it's good in that like people are cognizant of like their surroundings and like other people and not wanting to offend each other. So I guess that's a positive thing. But at the same time, sometimes I think people use it as an excuse to like be ignorant or not want to learn more about like other people. Or
Are there any potential downfalls to making political correctness, or do you?
I guess if you like establish this like standard of like political correctness and being politically correct society, then you have some people who aren't able to say whatever they want to say, and they may feel like that's an infringement on their freedom of speech.
I think that the term is now got a connotation that's kind of negative, and that's a downfall because people aren't seeing it as the just helpful teaching tool that it could be, and they're seeing it more as like, oh, they're saying I have to be politically correct, so I can't say what I want to say, and they're censoring me and all that.
Also, people having to learn new things, like it's not okay to call somebody this, and not okay to call them that. So I guess just having to learn and like maybe being taken out of your comfort zone.
We don't want to limit our dialogue, and I think one of the things that is great about college and I don't know, just kind of the culture that I've grown up in is you can talk about things that are necessarily uncomfortable, but it's kind of important that we recognize what's uncomfortable and kind of work through it, and I think that's how we grow as a society.
this fear of maybe saying the wrong thing, or that something isn't right and you're not supposed to say it. I don't know where that comes from or who dictates that, but it stifles a lot of like great conversation that people could have and like talk about things that might get us moving past this point where like things aren't PC. Like we're just kind of stuck, you know, in a place where you're not really making any progress because people are afraid to talk, people are afraid to have a conversation. That's so important when I'm again thinking very like racially and multiculturally, but I feel like because that's just like really important to me.
Yeah.
But in that context, like communication, dialogue, like is so important. Yeah, not to be ignorant, not to be scared to ask questions.
If we want to deal with issues that are conflicting, people that disagree with you might consider you being politically incorrect or disrespectful. But I think if we're going to continue any kind of dialogue, respect is kind of the only thing that matters, you know? I think we need to pay more attention to the intention of words.
The worst thing that could happen with maintaining it is just that people get tired of maintaining it, and then you have a bunch of people who want to get rid of it entirely, and then it can go too far in the opposite direction, where you just say terrible things and you think it's okay, like Donald Trump.
Yeah, I was like eating lunch one time with somebody, and they said they were quoting somebody else, and then they said the N-word, and so like I tried to like pretend that like first I didn't think I heard it right, and then like I pretended like oh they didn't say that, whatever, because like I didn't know like what do you do when somebody says that? You can't like correct everyone because some people don't understand that it's not okay to say it, so I was like whatever, it didn't happen.
Oh, well, most recently someone was like, oh, you're not Korean, you're Chinese. Well, no, it's all the same thing anyway. That's politically incorrect because you're assuming all of Asia is the same thing. So I guess that's one kind of reason that I remember.
What was your reaction?
Kind of just like, oh, that's a belief you can have. I disagree with you, but okay.
Like I personally, like my parents have never been like, oh, that's like not PC or that's not something. Like coming from a household where it's like two different like cultures all the time. Like I've always just been taught to like just kind of say whatever or like ask questions. Obviously like something, I don't know if like what would not be appropriate to say. Like I can't think of anything where I've like ever said anything. I'm trying to think if my brothers have ever said anything bad. But
when like people say they use retarded as like a term to just refer to anything stupid, that bothers me too, because I'm just like, that term has got a lot worse connotation than you think.
Coming from a school that was like completely like white and being the only like black and only Japanese person like in my grade, like I knew that I was different and people knew that I was different, and it just like wasn't something that like people would point out, I guess, just because like it's not PC.
Okay,
or,
so you never.
Yeah, or like people, but then it would be things like I would be sitting in history class like in A push, and then we'd start talking about Martin Luther King, and everybody would look at me like I know everything about Martin Luther King,
Really?
and I'm just like, that's not a thing. That's not how that works.
So you didn't try to correct them or anything?
No, I just feel like at a certain point it's like, okay, they probably heard that before, that it's not the same thing, and they're just gonna continue doing it.
So that being said, like, what do you think? Do you think that everyone should observe political correctness, or do you think that it's kind of a personal choice and that it's okay when people aren't politically correct?
I think to an extent you should maintain political correctness, especially if you're like in the public eye, because other people observe what you say, and that changes how they think of other groups. But I feel like I don't think it should be like something that's enforced, like the PC police or something. I think like that's still a matter of personal choice. Like people are always going to be bigoted. Like you might as well just let them. You can't make it illegal.
I imagine like as a politician or doing some kind of large, like having a large public presence, I think it's more, you have to be more careful about what you say for political correctness. But I would say that in life, I'm not saying that it's okay not to be politically correct out of public. I'm just saying, you should maintain respect consistently. But I think politically correctness is a way you phrase things when you are in the public.
Well, most of the time if I actually hear it, it's like on like a video or stuff, so I can't do more than just say, oh, comment, oh, don't say that word. And then they'll say, I don't like when people tell me not to say this word. I'm gonna say this word again. And so I'm just like...
But it's kind of also hard, like, when you're in the moment to say, like, I'm gonna tell you that this isn't okay to say, because you get into like an argument sometimes, and like it can be controversial, and then like these whole sets of rules and like what's not okay and what's okay.
As long as like your intentions are good, as long as you're like recognizing that this is something I don't know, so I'm going to ask. Like I'm not coming from a place like, oh well, like it's better to have like correct info and ask than have misconceptions that you just hold on because you're too afraid to ask. So I guess that's what I think.
I observe political correctness because like just out of respect to other people, and I know that I would want somebody to be not, I guess, like sensitive with me or not use words or phrases that would insult me or marginalize me. So I just do out of respect to other people, kind of like do to others what's done to you.
Yes, people aren't going to like you all the time. You don't have to be like that. But you should try to at least see for the future how your words are going to affect people. Because words are more powerful than we really know.
But people are always going to say their beliefs. People are always going to try to spread hate or any kind of conflict. And I think as long as those people are there and people continually say that's not okay, that doesn't represent me or my ideas, I think then it's okay for those people to know that that's not okay. That's not what we stand for. It's not what I stand for.
There's a dictionary definition of like what's politically correct, but like I guess my question is just like who decides what is politically correct? Because there are like a lot of times, like I was saying before, that like people I think don't say certain things to me or like don't want to talk about things because they think that it's like not PC to say, but at the same time like I would love if they asked me and we could talk about it and have a conversation